What's going on, everybody? Troy Rawlings here, and welcome to another exciting episode of Meet the. Today, I'm excited because I have somebody in the I want to say my vein of existence when it comes to media, television, streaming, and radio. She's a media, television, streaming, and radio lady. The one and only President and CEO of WPB Media Networks, girl April J. How are you, April?
I'm good, very good.
Yes. I told it's fun to interview the interviewers. You know, you're a person that does this on a regular basis, and no, she's not some young college hottie. She's talking about her daughter. My daughter's is in college. I said, I know you gotta hate. She gotta hate that when you go to her. Yo, who's your friend? It was like my friend.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she hates it. She hates it.
She ain't my mom. I mean, so how long have you? Well, first off, let's start from the beginning. Where are you originally from?
Oh wow. I was originally born in Denver, Colorado. My family is actually from New Orleans, so New Orleans is like home for me. And I actually grew up in Baltimore. So I came to Baltimore when I was about 9 years old. So I pretty much grew up here.
So where did the love for radio, media? Did you have a background already in communications before you?
Oh wow. Yeah, this is interesting. No, actually I didn't. I started out in real estate law. I've been doing real estate for 20 plus years.
Hmm.
And I would say going on 10 years ago, I decided that I started an online magazine for women, and I decided I wanted to expand it and do something like online radio. I really didn't know anything about it, had no clue about it. I heard about it. So what I did is I just started researching. I started going online, reading books, because I had no clue as far as how to build a website, streaming, media, coding, none of that stuff. So I basically had to really teach myself how to do all of that just by reading and researching. And it took me about 6 months before I even got the stream up and running. So it was a process.
And this was what year was this that you guys originally launched
This
WPB?
this was 2010. We launched
Right.
it. It was in June 2010. And our first show was with Jeff the Jammer Daniels, who used to be on a local radio station in Baltimore. And from there, it started with my show called Women's Talk Live. Well, it was Women's Talk Radio at the time, and I started it with a really good friend of mine, B West, and she
Mm.
worked with me on the online magazine. So I told her, I said, "Hey, listen, I really want to take this and turn it into a show that is related to women and our day-to-day lives of struggle and even women of color." So we just launched it, and our first show we were on the air for like 2 hours, and it just we had calls that came in, and just it was interesting. I never knew anything about radio, entertainment, none of that stuff. Absolutely nothing. Me and my ex-husband had a marketing company. We had a studio together, but he pretty much ran all that stuff. So, um, I was, home raising the kids and all that stuff. So when we got a business together, we started, that would WPB wasn't the only business that we had. We had other businesses too. So it was a lot.
And yeah, so married, two kids, got businesses, and the reason I touch on that is because in 2010, if for those who were paying attention in the area and saw what you're doing, it started moving quickly.
Mhm.
And like you said, your husband at the time heavily into marketing promotion, great background in marketing promotion. and you guys were in front of it, but you were at the helm, still there as a personality, still doing your show. I was a guest on your women's talk show, and the women's talk live panel was hilarious. Anytime I'm back, I got to get back and uh,
Absolutely.
the audience, you've
Yeah,
been to several of my
absolutely.
shows, so you already know. But amazing. I think the thing that got me the most was the professionalism. Sad you have to say that sometimes, but I'm not even talking about on the African American tip. I'm talking about just the professionalism of how the station was run when it was comparable to, at the time, the leading station who was doing that same demographic of music and everything. And you guys, a streaming station, come out the block and start crushing. The personalities were attracted. What do you think what it was that attracted the personalities to want to work with you guys so much?
I think what we did is we highlighted new artists and new talent. So those people that were always wanted to be on radio but had no platform to do so, or that
Right.
artists that had music but they had no platform to go to. So not only were we offering people to stream it live on their phones, but they could also see what was going on in the studio, and that was something completely different, and we want it to be different. So when people were tuning in and they could actually see us, they could actually interact with us. So they could call in, they could also we had a live chat on our website, so they could actually talk to us. And we decided that we were actually going to build, like, mostly my ex-husband, to have a full-fledged studio with boards, computers, microphones. So when anybody came in, they felt like they were going into an actual radio station, which we were, but we wanted to give them that feel. And we often told our personalities, and we used to do sessions, group sessions, where we would get everybody together so they would learn how to work with each other. They would learn how to talk on the mic, how to interview, and we stressed that you were not only entertaining but you were educating. So
Right.
that was my biggest thing. When you get on that mic, you are educating your audience. So
Right.
be clear about what you're saying, research what you're saying, never just get on the air on the fly. I showed them how to do an outline, know exactly what they're talking about, and researching what they're talking about, and really vetting your guests so that you're not having guests on the air talking about stuff that they don't know anything about. So,
Right.
we really stressed that with them. We taught them, not just put them on the air. So,
Right. That's key. Training is key because a lot of people don't know how to crack a mic. They don't know to know where you're going. Where when I first started radio in 2000, that was a big deal. Program director at the time was like, when you crack that mic, know where you're going. If you don't, you better play some music and get off the air. He was like, music
right,
is your friend right now. As soon as
right.
you feel like you're talking too much, you better lead into a song, because
Hmm.
everything was live. The thing I
Hmm.
like most about you guys is that you weren't recording shows. I think that was the thing that changed the game. You entered the market at a strategic time. Right now, and I don't like to date it, but for those that know, this is a very another strategic. So happens that you've relaunched a larger company and you're in another strategic time where all eyes are on us media folk, all
Hmm.
eyes online. And at the time in the DMV, the Maryland DC market, a lot of stations were getting rid of talent, their on air talent, and going to syndication. You guys were local live, and you started getting, like I say, Jeff the Jammer Daniels, radio vet from years ago, Larry Lancaster, comedians, and you started getting people that people knew, and they knew they could tune into a live show.
Hmm.
And but I don't think you guys did that on purpose. I don't think you knew. It didn't seem like you knew that was the sense. Let's just go live. It just seemed like it seemed organic, as the word is now that people
Hmm.
use.
Hmm.
Did you know that at the time there was nothing else live like that?
Yeah, we knew. We knew what we were up against, and Me and my ex-husband used to sit down and really just go over, okay, how we want this to look. What do we want to do with this? Um, we used to have debates over it. Um, so we wanted to, outside of anything, we just wanted to be different. We wanted to offer something different. And one thing that we started is that we started having artists, because at the time we were right across the street from the major radio station. So artists would leave there and come across the street to us. And what was different is that with the artists, when they came in, we had we took them out of the radio station studio. We had an open space where they would sit down, and we had bloggers, and we had people who, just wrote about entertainment come in and being able to ask these artists questions. And we recorded that live on air so people were able to see it. And it wasn't just us. It was, I mean, we had a host, but we were able to set it up for bloggers to come up and actually ask their question. And then the artist would go on the air with whoever the talent was on the air at that time. And sometimes it was hard to get the artist to leave because they've never had that before. It was like they were really touching those people, and it wasn't like a stage interview. Like, we let them know, hey, listen, there's going to be bloggers here. They're going to ask you questions. And they were open to it. And I mean, we had B.O.B., we had Music Soul Child, we had um, Tank, and we had Estelle, Brave. So a lot of times we couldn't even get them to leave.
Yeah, it was, but that's funny because you set up what would be a media junket, a media docket. Like if you go to the award shows, they have a whole room of media people, and like you said, most people have never had that. Even when I set up Meet, the whole piece of doing it is that a lot of artists, new artists, people like that, have never had a one-on-one interview, that a professional one-on-one interview where you get the CNN split screen and you look and you're like, oh, and yeah, you had a very hands-on, or I hate to keep using the word organic,
Mm-hmm.
but it was natural. It seemed like a natural
Yeah,
flow.
right.
Being around you, you're a people person. So you mentioned about you and your ex-husband, you're having the company, you started it, as many companies do. Well, let's. I want to touch on this because I've been talking to more and more married couples lately who've been doing business together. How hard is that?
It can be hard. One thing about both of us, we weren't, neither one of us liked to argue. And we weren't going to argue. If we had a disagreement, he would say his side, I would say my side. We would kind of step away, and then we would come back and try to figure out how we could compromise um, with what we were trying to do. So, and it is hard because you see yourself in this business, you see yourself at home, but I worked outside of what we did, and he did too, but he was mostly the one that was running the day-to-day operations. So it is hard sometimes because you have those disagreements. Um, you think things should be this way or that way. But I think the biggest part of what we learned to do was to step away and then come back and try to compromise. So I think that was probably the big part of why we became so successful, because we were both, uh, we both had ideas. And I think we both respected where each other was coming from.
And so you shut down, you revamp. How long were you, when the original WP shut down, the revamp? How long were you away? Were you guys away from being on air and everything?
Yeah, yeah, I definitely, after our divorce, well, yeah, yeah, during our divorce, I decided that for the betterment of me and the whole situation, it was best to just shut everything down. And I was probably shut down for probably about I want to say a year and a half. And that was just so that I could regroup and pretty much accept my new normal. And, I also had two teenage daughters. So, I really wanted to focus some time and dedication to them as well. So when I decided that I wanted to relaunch it, I wanted to relaunch it differently. I didn't want to do the same thing because at that time, everybody had an online radio station. A lot of who did have online radio stations came from WPB, um, which I respected. And, I was proud of that because my thing is I want to be able to give people platforms to eventually start their own businesses. So I decided I wanted to really just focus on the TV part and just really bring it about not only talk shows but reality shows. I just recently did a documentary when I traveled to Africa. So I really wanted to do something differently. And I decided to really focus on um, the TV streaming part. And
Right.
a lot of people they watch things now on their cell phones, their iPads, or their computers. So that's what I really wanted to focus in on. And so far, it's gone pretty good. I've learned a lot. Um, and it's different with it just being me, but I do have two other people that I work with now, which is David Thompson and Rhonda Cox. They're like my right hands, and we all gel together and we bounce ideas off each other, and they have really helped me with shaping and relaunching WPB.
Now, what's your overall? You said streaming with the TV portion now, and do you find it? Um, how difficult was it from the streaming radio side to now dealing with sponsors? Are you still deal with sponsors and ads like any other radio or TV or um, and in the climate that we're in now, in the day and age now, did you find that a lot of your old clients were excited about coming back over because of what you guys presented before, or is it a new type of client, or where do you get most of your sponsorship, advertising dollars, connections, businesses? How does that flow with you guys?
Yeah, it was a shift because when you start a business with somebody that you're married with, you become embedded, especially in the Baltimore entertainment. So when they
Mm.
look at WPB, they didn't see just me, they saw my ex-husband too. So it really was it was a process to really kind of sever that so that people could really see that, because a lot of people didn't really see me. I was pretty much really behind the scenes even though I had my own show. So just to kind of bring about that, okay, this is now a brand new business, run by just me. So and I had to really reintroduce who I was,
Right.
because a lot of people didn't know who I was. So, with doing that, it was just, it was different. It was different. It was a new normal for me. So it was different.
Right.
But
Because all of a
I
sudden you
really,
have to be the mouthpiece. You have to be marketing, promotion,
right,
producing,
right,
and
right.
yeah,
Yeah. And the good thing about it is that even I was able to still keep a lot of the relationships that I had before. I work with a marketing company in New York. And what I also started doing is I wanted to get into other markets. So I reached out to CW in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I started following the Byron Allen formula,
formula.
where I started realizing that a lot of these local stations had paid programming that you could get your shows aired. Um, and it's just a matter of just contacting them and saying, hey, listen, I'm interested in your paid programming slots and, the times and the cost. And, I got to the point where I started building relationships in Charlotte. And then that led to me getting a relationship in TW in New Orleans, which was my family's hometown. And they love, I was airing Women's Talk Show live, and they love the show. Even when I took a break, because we do like 6 week of seasons from
Right.
6 to 8 weeks. I had them ask me, well, are you planning on bringing the show back? When are you going to bring the show back? And so I was just like, wow. And I learned that when I was airing, the with in a whole new market that I knew nothing about, the show did so well down there. So I was proud about that, and I was happy about that. So I had to learn a whole new formula.
That was something I wanted to. I really wanted you hit. I'm glad you hit on that. Being in the market that you used to, the relationship you used to have, when you transition into something new, um, hearing that sometimes you got to venture into other places new, and you realize, oh, I have this ability, I have this open door, and these key things are available. One of my mentors, Wanda Draper, she had put me down years ago with the whole Fire and Allen's whole system of syndication, how I went about everything, and it's amazing to have the opportunities we have now. So, what's your vision moving forward? Before we get out of here, because I can talk to you for hours. What's your vision moving forward for your network, your media? Are you looking to do more syndication type stuff, since you're officially producing TV content? You're producing content. We can't even say TV anymore, because you're producing content, meaning that anybody can come and buy content from you as well. So, what's your overall vision, or I'll say the vision for the next immediate, like 2 years?
Mhm. I really want to build it nationally, but my biggest goal is building internationally. And with that is because when I did go to Africa um, last November, it opened my eyes to a whole lot. It was an experience that I don't feel like I would ever experience. I never experienced anything like that in my life, and it all became. It came out of an interview that I did with Jermaine Gibbs, who
Mm-hmm.
I've known for years. I know he was an excellent photographer, and he wanted to travel with. He wanted to take a bunch of photographers to Africa and give them experience. And I told him, I said, well, I don't not a photographer, but I am a videographer. I would love to go. And he was just like, absolutely. He said, I didn't even think about that. So when we went, it was a small group of us who went. We didn't know each other. We had no clue. We never traveled. I mean, we traveled to New York together to see how we would gel, and we did great. But we really did not know each other. And when we went, we all just, it was just an experience. We became really like family because we were experiencing things that we never experienced before. We were
Right.
going into local neighborhoods. We went to Tanzania, and we went into a local Jerusalem neighborhood that, nobody goes into, especially people of color, because we're scared to go to Africa. But,
Oh,
we
right.
had a bunch of young men who was in their 20s who followed us and showed us around their neighborhood and their where they were. And it was so humbling because they were so talented, and all they wanted was the opportunity to have some type of connection to the US. And it was, we traveled to Jerusalem, we traveled to Zanzibar,
Hmm.
and we went to Arusha, where we spent one night with the Masai Tribe. And that was a complete experience that I've never felt. And I didn't know how I was going to
Is
react.
that the was that the piece where y'all were fishing, or no? Was that the one?
Well, no, that was when we were in Zanzibar, and we were on this handmade boat coming from the island, going back to Zanzibar, because we went to Safari Blue, and there was water. The seas were really, really rough. So they told us that we had to put on life preserving jackets, especially the ones that couldn't swim. I can't swim. So obviously I'm terrified because some of the water's coming in the boat, and all of us are like, okay, what's going on? And immediately we just started singing. Jermaine started giving this really motivational speech, and the waters just calmed. And
Mm.
when before we knew it, we were at land. But that was just an experience. And I tell people, even being in the middle of nowhere, in the Masai village with the Masai tribe, watching them sacrifice a lamb in our honor, and putting together this big celebration for us. And you know we even encountered two lions while we were out there. But it was, I mean, just, and
You
even
can
the
tell
last time,
you're
yeah.
talking different because we don't usually round the folk from US. We encountered a lion. You be like,
Yeah, I mean,
lion rolled up on us.
I know, but
Oh,
I
hello,
know.
lion.
But I mean, it was in the middle of the night. We were in the tent, so we, the Maasai warriors were out there, so they knew how to deal with situations like that. So I was nervous, but I don't think I was scared, but I was nervous. But it was interesting, even seeing the Maasai children, and taking pictures and video and capturing them. Some of them have never seen themselves, so to be able to show them a picture and a video of themselves, it was, I don't know, it was the most peace I've ever felt in my life. And I was just like, that's the type of story I want to bring to my audience. I want to show them an experience that somebody may not ever be able to experience. And I want to take that and show it. So, the documentary ended up, it's like 3 hours long, but I to share it is so much. It's so much. So, I'm looking at breaking it down in the series
Right.
and showing it. But um, yeah, it was, we actually are looking to travel to Ethiopia the end of this year, uh, and do it all again. So, and there we plan on sitting down with 3 or 4 tribes. So it's when I experienced that, I realized, yeah, this is what I really want to do. I really do.
Inter- international. Well,
Mhm.
we got to get out of here.
Okay.
I appreciate you so much, April.
No problem.
International. You're fully international. You went to the mother continent, went on a boat without knowing how to swim. Uh, they sacrificed. Did you eat the lamb?
I did. I did.
That had to be some. Man.
It,
One
it,
thing
it
to
was
see.
the best. It was the best thing ever. The best thing ever. I will not lie.
This ain't no normal gyro from the corner joint. This
No,
right here is.
it
I
was.
saw this lamb.
Yeah, I did. I witnessed the whole thing. Got it all on video. So it was an
So,
experience.
so you pretty much saying if a brother can't kill a lamb and stop a lion, it's kind of hard.
Yeah.
Jay, WPB Media Networks, President and CEO. How can people get in touch with you? Find out more about everybody from the person that's interested in learning more about how you began, because some people can't touch Kathy Hughes,
Hmm.
but they can reach out and get in touch. You're not that hard to find.
No,
Might be
absolutely.
visiting,
No,
but you know.
yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, you can reach me at info@wpbmedianetworks.com, or I'm on Instagram, April J1, also on Facebook as April Hall, but you can also search April J of Women's Talk Live. And yeah, I mean, if you send me a message, I will definitely, if I don't reach out to you personally, definitely somebody from my team definitely will.
Thank you, April, taking time out with me. Love you. I'm
No
so proud of
problem.
everything you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Uh, keep doing it. We'll talk soon.
Okay.